Hi guys, let's discuss how we can multitask with our king in the endgame. What do I mean by multitask? Well, let's illustrate by studying this position. Here white is winning, as you can see from the evaluation. But if the king just approach the black pawn in the straight line, then it will end up in a draw. Let's play this out. King e7, as you can see, the evaluation already changed to a draw. Black goes to king c3, king d7, king d4, king c7, king d5, king b7, king d6, king a7, and now you see black idea, king c7, basically imprisoning the white king. So these two are the key squares when the pawn is when it's a rook pawn on the a file. If you want to know about more about key squares, please look up my earlier videos. Once black control these two key squares of b7 and b8, then the white king is sort of like imprisoned. There's no way that the white king can sort of like get out to promote the pawn. Okay, so the straightforward way didn't work. Instead, white king has to multitask. White king has to be able to approach the a file pawn and capture it while preventing the black king from reaching the c7 square. And the key to do it is to realize that moving in a zigzag way and moving in a straight way actually consume the same tempo. What do I mean by that? Well, let me show you. So keep in mind that we are now at the f7 and we want to approach the b7 square. What do you think is fastest, moving on a straight line or moving this way? Now, if you just use your eyes intuitively, then you might think that moving on a straight line is faster because it's shorter. But in a chessboard, the king pretty much just jump per square, right? So it's actually the same tempo. We can just calculate here: 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Well, if you go to the zigzag way, then it's like 1, 2, 3, and then 4. The same tempo. The difference being that with the zigzag way, you would be able to prevent the black king from approaching. Let's play this out. Let's see this in action. So the right move is king e6. Again, approaching it in a zigzag way. Now if black tried the earlier trick, king c3, then the white king goes king d5. And notice the difference. When you go straight line, then this king would be able to approach directly. Now it cannot. Now it's opposed by the white king. So let's say it moves somewhere else. King b4 is probably the best right here. But then the white king goes king c6. And now the black king is still opposed by the white king, cannot approach further. So king c4 is probably the best bet. And now king b7, king c5, king takes a7, king c6. And you see now it's a difference. Previously, the black king was here. But now the black king lose a tempo because we managed to sort of like prevent it from approaching. So it's on c6 instead of c7. And now white can go king b8, which was not available previously. And this is easy win for white. Promote and then checkmate the black king. So that's the idea of multitasking. I hope that makes sense. Instead of going on a straight line and capture the pawn, you can try to capture the pawn and prevent the black king from approaching. This technique is also called shouldering. You basically try to shoulder or body check the black king while trying to capture the other pawn at the same time. Okay guys, let's look at the second example now. This is actually a very famous puzzle by Reti. Some of you might probably have seen it, but not in this context. So here white is trying to promote and black is also trying to promote. But if you look at it at a glance, then it's clear that looks like black is winning, right? Black only need one tempo to capture this pawn, while white is 2 tempo behind. This pawn looks like it's actually uncatchable. White basically has 2 plans here. Can either try to capture the black pawn, but it looks like it's kind of lost cause, right? 2 tempo behind. Or it can try to maybe go this way and basically try to guard the pawn and then promote it. But again, it looks like a lost cause as well. The king is simply too far from either the black pawn or the white pawn. So individually, either of the plan is a lost cause. But again, remember the idea of multitasking. Can the king multitask? Can the king approach the black pawn and approach the white pawn at the same time? Well, the answer is yes, it can. From the earlier idea, remember the idea is that, for example, to catch the black pawn, you can go down on a straight line and you'll be lost for sure. Or you can go on a zigzag line, right? Go that way. And again, remember, your eyes are deceiving you right now. The zigzag way is like not longer. The tempo are exactly the same. The difference being that if we go on a zigzag way, then once we reach e5, there's a possibility that we might be able to go to d6 as well. That's where the multitasking comes in. By going this way, we basically sort of like keep our intention secret to black. We can either try to capture the pawn, or we can either approach the white pawn. All right, enough talking. Let's play this out. First, king g7. By the way, I forgot to mention that, just in case it's not clear, the objective for white here is to draw. Obviously, white cannot really win, right? Just with one tempo, black can catch this pawn already. So black is trying to win, but what the white best hope is just to draw. Okay, now black's best move is probably h4. Let's say black goes king b6 instead. Then we go king f6, and then it's an easy draw. So here black's best move is h4. White should stick to the plan of going that way, king f6, approaching both the white pawn and the black pawn at the same time. We're one step closer to both, which is the concept of multitasking. Here black can do two things. First, try to keep pushing the pawn on the h file and promote, or try to capture the pawn on the c file, but either will result in a draw. First, let's see if they try to push the h pawn. So h3, then we go king e6. Now king will go to king d7. Should the black king approach and basically guard the promotion pot. So h2, king c7, and let's say black tried to catch it now, king b7, then simply king d7, h1, queen, but white also queen, and comes with a check actually, so it's a draw. Let's see the other plan. So instead of h3, let's say black tries to approach the pawn and try to capture it. Then we simply follow the same plan, king e5, king takes c6, king f4, h3, king g3, h2, king takes h2, and it's also a draw. So basically we've seen that no matter what black does, as long as white sticks with the multitasking plan, white will be able to draw. And yeah, I always find this puzzle actually quite amazing. Kind of blow my mind when I first encounter it. And don't forget the key, the lesson of this video basically, which is instead of going down, going straight to one of your objective, is it possible for you in the endgame to go zigzag, which consume the exact same tempo, but this will enable you to multitask and achieve two objectives at the same time. And that's the key to drawing an otherwise losing game, or even winning an otherwise drawn game, as we see in the first example. Okay guys, that's all from me. If you find the content useful, it would really mean a lot to me if you subscribe and like to support the channel. Also check out my endgame studies playlist with similar contents if you like this kind of endgame content. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys in the next video.